and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Brent Edwards. Today, we're talking about how modern hotels and resorts can drive more direct bookings, cut out expensive middleman fees, and make sure their properties get found in the new age of AI search. In 2026, growing a successful hospitality business takes much more than a nice website. It requires smart customer data, automated search tools, and a strategy built for how guests actually shop online today. Joining us on the podcast today is Nicki Graham. She's the Chief Marketing Officer at Cendyn. Nicki is a seasoned hospitality tech leader with nearly 20 years of experience shaping global marketing strategies for major agency networks like IPG and WPP. For almost a decade, she has led marketing at Cendyn, a global hospitality cloud platform that powers over 32,000 hotels across 150 countries and drives more than $20 billion in annual room revenue. Let's dive into our conversation. Nicki, it's great to meet you and a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
As we were talking just at the beginning, I started my career in hospitality and the travel industry. So this will be a more of an updated, walk down memory lane for me. But I've been really looking forward to our conversation.
Awesome.
We're going to go over a few questions, Nicki. The first one is going to be focusing around hotel operators and around gaining visibility in the new world of AI. I guess what we're seeing is a massive number of hotel operators are focusing their entire digital strategy on legacy search engine parameters. And some are completely missing the fact that travelers have shifted to conversational platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity to plan their travel. Wondering if you can tell us how the lack of an AI optimized structure puts hoteliers at risk, and how does Wayfinder help track LLM presence?
Yes, great. Yeah, good question. And I think, we're just having so many conversations about this at the moment. It is the hottest topic because every brand I speak to at the moment, whether it's in hospitality or peers in the industry or outside the industry, just in software, we are seeing a massive shift in how traffic is coming to people's websites. And that fundamentally has been caused by this change in search, which, as you mentioned, those blue links that we got so accustomed to for a long time just aren't really being seen anymore or being clicked through. And this is because of the LLMs, as you say, because people have moved to a very different way of finding out information, and it is more accessible, right? They are now feeling more informed and they're trusting that information that is being given to them. So I'm sure you've done it. I know I have. You're planning a trip and you put in all the information around who you are or who you're traveling with, the things you like, the food you like, the kind of trips you like to take, and it builds you a bespoke plan or information about areas that you are thinking about. And that in itself has really shifted our behavior entirely when it comes to trip planning. And it means that we're seeing a drop in conversions, we're seeing a change in how people are gathering that information and then what they do with it. So yes, it is a big risk if you are still putting all your eggs in that basket, because there is now a whole new basket that has come about,
Yes.
which is how you position yourself online through SEO, through geo, or AEO. I mean, there's many acronyms that describe it now, but fundamentally, how you position yourself as a brand is incredibly important now through those LLMs. I know you mentioned about Wayfinder. So, at Cendyn, we've been seeing this happen for, since 2024, we saw this shift starting to change. So we provide SEO for hotels. We do that. We have an agency arm of our business, and we've been doing that for many years and supporting hotels make sure they have visibility, whether it's, through paid search or organic search. And we started to see this shift happen back in 24. So what we've been doing since then is navigating through that and determining what is the best way for us to help these, businesses, whether they're small independent hotels or the big brands, make sure that they have the visibility they need in search now. And that has resulted in this product Wayfinder, which sits on top of the web platform that we build. And it provides a guiding star for hotels to help them understand, are you visible in the right places? Are you, is the prompts that you are expecting your guests or prospective guests to put in, is the right information coming up for your brand with that? Basically, are you visible? And we're seeing the traction with that now, which is really exciting. And so many hotels are very keen for it because there is a lot of unknown out there right now.
Yeah, it's uh, the challenges and the complexity of running a hotel. They're always complex businesses to run, but just having this new, completely different channel for people planning their trips. Like I've always loved planning trips. That's half the fun is getting ready
Yeah.
for it. But there's just so much information that's coming back to the consumer in terms of, or their business traveler in terms of the planning. I can see these multiple channels can be really challenging for hoteliers.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and just that you mentioned about brand and the whole way that the hoteliers portray themselves online. It's not just being known as like a boutique or luxury hotel anymore. It's being able to help out the LLMs with better understanding how they're actually differentiated. So it comes back to the
Yes.
consumer.
And a great example of that is, for example, I mean, I'll take myself, right? My husband and I we planned a trip earlier this year over the summer to France, and we're taking our dog, we're driving over there and putting in things like, we are this is the trip that we're planning, my husband and I with our dog, those sorts of nuances. Now that then sends the LLM to go and think, okay, if they're looking for hotels, they want pet friendly. So even though I haven't specifically said I want pet friendly in the prompt that I've given, it is assumed because we're traveling with our dog that it is.
Yes.
So little nuances like that, or, putting in traveling with family, we have two kids, one is aged 15, one is aged 9. Instead of you saying specifically the things that they want to do, it's going to make assumptions based on that information. So thinking through that is hard, right? That's hard for a hotel, in amongst, as you say, the complex environment they already work in, thinking about the booking channels, the rates, the variability of all of those things over time, the right price, etc. As well, now you have to think about, okay, the messaging that I'm using on a hotel website, or information that's portrayed within reviews or other third-party sites, have now become so important and weight so heavily in whether that hotel is going to show up when I search for my trip to France with my husband and my dog. So things like that have become incredibly important, that now and also will help influence the bookings, which is fundamentally the most important commercial piece of the
Hmm.
puzzle. Because if they're not being seen, they're very unlikely to get that booking.
Yes, and I guess also the LLMs can sometimes hallucinate and make
Yes,
assumptions. So with your dog, that would have been a correct assumption, but they can also
they also
sometimes
could
imagine
go
things
the
that are
other
not
way.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that can really impact the hotelier's I guess brand online, and having ability to actually monitor what the LMs are picking up. I guess that's going to be a real core requirement for the hoteliers that want to succeed.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next topic I wanted to talk with you about, Nicki, is around the standard customer acquisition channels for hoteliers. And a lot of this will be around, I guess, competition with online travel agencies, or as people in the
Mhm.
industry call it, OTAs. And how can hotels more competently can compete with OTAs and drive more direct bookings?
Yeah, so I mean, again, another really good question because it is going to be very difficult, as it has been difficult for decades, hotels competing for that direct booking through their website, because now hotels are competing again with OTA's budget to embed themselves within these LLMs. So we've already seen it happen with Booking.com, etc., and big partnerships with the big LLM, the brands, ChatGPT, OpenAI.
Mhm.
So all of those factors play into this, which make it a big challenge for hotels. However, what I was talking about earlier about the brand and having, the right messaging, the correct information, that is a power that the OTAs don't have, because hotels and hotels websites are the most rich information gathering piece of information that you can gather about a hotel, right? And OTAs have a very small snippet plus a bunch of photos that give information on a hotel. And
Mhm.
now we have an opportunity for hotels to capitalize on the wealth of information they have on their brand, all the things they do, the type of guests that visit their properties, the reviews they have. All of these things
Mhm.
compound the richness of information they can provide when people are out there searching for the place to stay. So that will help them considerably, I believe. The only thing is, it's moving so fast that hotels have to move fast with it too. They don't have
Mhm.
time to wait around, because we know that budgets aren't an issue for the big OTAs and how they embed themselves within the LLMs. That will be very difficult to compete with. But given where search is going now and what we're seeing people
Mhm.
expect from search, is
Right.
they want the rich information about the specificities of the hotel and the environment and the area they're staying and all the pieces that the trip together, which is something an OTA can't provide.
Well, I think it's the idea is, as you go online and you're finding more information, it actually just feeds people's curiosity. They want to
Mm,
learn actually more about the destination. And is there was some thought that, the more that we're seeing videos and content providers, it's like, oh, now we don't have to go there anymore. Well, actually, no, it feeds people's innate curiosity to explore destinations. I guess it's also in terms of the properties that they're staying at on vacation. So I
yes,
guess it's good news for the hoteliers that they've got all this information if they can find a way to leverage it to drive those direct bookings, which they value so much.
absolutely.
Um, and maybe that's also going to do something to kind of rebalance the industry playing field.
Mm,
So, and potentially drive some more high value direct bookings and just balance out how the industry is structured. Nikki, so can we talk a bit about some of the back-end mechanisms that are required to turn some of these first-time visitors into, lifetime customers of these hotels and resorts? So what I'd like you to do is just tell us a bit about this framework, which I understand Cendyn has, which is find, book, and grow. And how does that work to turn single transactions into recurring revenue? I'll let you ponder that question for just a minute. I've got a special message for our listeners, and then we'll come back to our conversation with Nicki Graham from Cendyn to learn more about her answer. So, this is a special message for our listeners, and it's for all boutique resort owners, regional property managers, and hospitality entrepreneurs who are watching our show today. Allowing heavy third-party booking fees or unoptimized search data to limit your profitability is an immense vulnerability in 2026. Powering more than $20 billion in annual revenue for hotels across the globe, Cendyn enables commercial opportunities to keep your brand discoverable and trusted. Own your digital presence and leverage their cutting-edge AI native architecture by visiting cendyn.com today. So let's go back to our conversation with Nicki Graham. And Nicki, can you tell us more about the Define Book Grow framework?
Yes, absolutely. So, a little bit of background on Cendyn without spending too long on it, but Cendyn has been around for 30 years now. And over that time, we have built a large product portfolio that sit within the brand. And one of the reasons that we moved to the Find Book Grow strategy was because we could see, as we were growing our customer portfolio, each time we had conversations with every customer, we could truly get to the crux of the issue by effectively putting these things into three pillars. So we saw that our hotels were struggling to find more guests. They were struggling to book direct, as we've talked about. And then finally, they were coming up against, and I would say less of a challenge, but more needing the right infrastructure to help them grow their loyal guest database and ultimately then grow revenue. So we could see that these common themes were coming out in all the conversations we were having with our customers. And that is what the sort of the groundwork or the thesis was behind why we then moved to a Find Book Grow strategy with all of our products. And if you go to cendyn.com, you'll see that we have our products kind of sit within these three frameworks. But actually, each product also on its own, it allows you to find more guests, book more direct, and grow your revenue. So it works incredibly well at helping us tell the story of why we exist and what we do for our customers, and helps build a clear framework for people to understand, okay, well, this isn't my problem area, isn't that I'm not finding guests. I have a great digital marketing strategy. We have a fantastic website that performs really well. That isn't the problem. What their problem might be is, hey, hold on, we aren't retaining guests. They aren't coming back. They come and stay with us, and for some reason they aren't coming back, or we don't have information on them in our database. So sometimes it can be nuanced and it's not all three, but it may be one or two of the pillars, or maybe they just need help with their book direct strategy and all the other pieces seem to be working fine. So we can help with all three areas, and that enables us to be, the commercial extension of the hotel's operational team to help them continue to think about how they can grow revenue ultimately for their business.
Yeah, I've checked out Cendyn, the website, and you're right. The three pillars really make it easy for someone to interpret in a very straightforward way in terms of how they all work together. So it's a really good blueprint for lifetime customer value. And yes, once you've aligned all your marketing and sales engines with the single source of the guest truth, it really will help lock in some long-term customer loyalty, which is the ultimate goal. Maybe you can take us under the hood a bit in terms of some of the latest technology developments that your organization's building and how you're using artificial intelligence to help hoteliers reduce the cost and expense of their daily hotel operations and provide, which is what is really important around actionable insights to run their business.
Yes, absolutely. So we mentioned at the beginning of the call, product called Wayfinder, and I think this is obviously one of our latest products that we've released, but fundamentally, what sits beneath that is the big thing that we're working on at the moment. That is our sort of AI integration foundational layer, and this is again a result of all of the work and research that we're doing over the past sort of 6 to 12 months, all the changes that are happening in the world, quite frankly, with how AI can improve our workflows, how we work internally, but how also it can help improve operationally the day-to-day for our customers. So we are leveraging it from both sides, in that, looking at building out this infrastructural layer built with AI, that ultimately will enable us to build more products quicker, like Wayfinder. And Wayfinder was the first one that we've deployed. And Wayfinder is, as mentioned, a tool that sits on top of your website that tells you how you sit and perform with visibility when it comes to the LLM. So how visible are you? Are you showing up in the correct way? And then you can take action on it in your website there and then. So it's in the right place, directly connected, and feeding you with real-time information. So that's kind of the latest one we've done. In the past sort of 12 months, we've also had some really exciting other AI releases across our different product sets. So one of them being our CRM platform. So our CRM platform helps hotels collect, bring the data together in one central source of truth, and then they can use it to market to different, to guests who have stayed before, and try and get them to come back. Or you can use it to reach out to prospects. It can be used for B2B. So if you have a very large group business of your hotel, you can leverage the B2B arm of the platform and to directly connect with those prospects there. But fundamentally, this new release that we did last year was on the analytics platform for the CRM. So all of the reporting that comes out of those complex campaigns that are run through the CRM, we now have predictive analytics that sits there. So as you are trying to pass through lots of different reports, we give AI analysis for each of those, which tells you, okay, well, based on this report, you should be doing X, Y, and Z because this performed really well, this didn't perform well. So it's a really great kind of strategic help for marketers and for sales teams as they're managing their campaigns and thinking through their workflows, which again saves a lot of time when you're having multiple things on your plate every day, trying to manage different campaigns.
Oh, I can imagine, having spent many years in marketing and also in business development, having some analytical tools that will actually, you know, make sure that you're staying on top of all the daily changes that are happening and making sure things are clear and they're automated. And if there's any inconsistencies, it's drawing your attention to that. That would really, I could see assisting a hotelier immensely in the business development process, especially where they're not looking to add, additional staff or additional
Yes.
complex work to what they already need to do. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so the next quick conversation we'll have is really just about some tips for some of the hoteliers. And you're working in multiple markets and different segments and different types of properties, whether they're resorts or boutique hotels or major chains. Um, can you give us some suggestions in terms of what the first step is as a hotelier that they should take to future-proof their web content and boost direct bookings? Like, you guys have been at Cendyn, have been ahead of the curve and been working on this for a couple of years. So what advice would you give hoteliers to help this part of their revenue generation strategy?
So I think first and foremost, and we still have hotels or we come across hotels still today, independent, that haven't been able to kind of put marketing dollars at the forefront of what they're doing, but we still come across this. I would say one of the most important things is to make sure that you have a mobile friendly website. And in 2026, I can't believe I'm still saying that, but it does. We come across it a lot. And that's incredibly important because most people are looking things on their phone nowadays. They aren't doing as much research on their laptops. Now, so that's one thing I would say. Make sure that you have the infrastructure, the platform for your website that is mobile friendly. And second to that, I would then say that, again, people, given changing behavior and how, when you think about the consumer nowadays, information needs to be immediately accessible. Things can't be buried 3 pages in or even 2 pages in. If you want to be able to portray the true essence of your hotel and where you are and what the benefits of your hotels over your competitor down the road or another resort, whatever location you may be in, you have to have that information accessible right on the front page, so that when someone lands on your website and they decide, hey, this is the place I want to stay, they are able to take action immediately. So we do a lot of these things at Cendyn to make sure that our customers' websites are optimized for immediate or as close to immediate conversion as possible. So you have all the information that is needed to truly give the essence of the brand and the why that hotel on the homepage, and then a very easy way to convert straight to the booking engine, which is where you can make the direct booking. So whether that's a chat or whether it's a button that's very accessible on the homepage right near the top, whatever it might be, or even if you're looking at an image, you can kind of go straight there to book now right by the image. All of these things are incredibly important to help with immediate or as close to immediate conversion, because people don't have time anymore or the patience to navigate through multiple pages before they get to a point where, oh, here's the information I was looking for. They want it there and then. So for example, if you are running ads that are for a specific type of guest that you're looking for, and that ad is for a very unique campaign, make sure the landing page on the website that you're taking to them, people to, is relevant to that brand. So to that campaign. So if you're talking about a barbecue cookout event that you're holding on your front lawn of your hotel, and it's beautiful environment outdoors, if you're running a campaign for people to come and stay for a long weekend to celebrate this, you want to make sure that the page that they come to once they've clicked on that ad is relevant to that, and that there is an immediate way for them to convert, and they're not having to, they don't land on the homepage of the hotel, they then have to navigate through to find that information. It's simple things like that that makes such a difference on conversion and the ability to see return on your ad spend, if it's an ad, for example, or even an email campaign that you do. Those sorts of things make a dramatic effect.
I think that consumers, again, whether they're B2C or B2B, their expectations have just gone through the roof in terms of their expectations across digital channels, and in terms of some of the sophisticated consumer products or electronics that the people are buying online. That their expectations in terms of all that information being accessible about the product they're buying, whether that is for a conference or a hotel room, is so high that it's great to hear that Cendyn's able to assist them with bringing all this rich information to the forefront to help consumers make a good decision.
Absolutely.
Um, I have a wrap up question for you, and this would be: what would your top recommendation be for keeping a hospitality brand competitive in the coming years?
So I honestly think it's getting back to the basics. And by basics, I mean, really, a lot we've talked about in this conversation about the brand and how you portray everything that is relevant to your hotel, what makes it exciting, what makes it unique. And I would say that the thing that is going to really push the needle, push the dial for hotels in the next few years is truly owning that. And that means getting back to, what information do you have on your website? Are you doing any PR for yourself? Are you working with local media? Are you doing blogs? What does your social footprint look like? It's not just about now the website or one specific type of ad on a search engine. It is a huge array of different areas, and it's making sure that you're consistent with the brand messaging. So everything that you say on your website is consistent across other third parties. It's making sure you have good review platform connectivity so that you're capturing reviews, publishing them online. So again, you get that third party verification that your hotel does what it says it does. And these sort of basics have now become even more important again, because we're seeing that they are the most important pieces when it comes to LLMs deciding how visible you are. So visibility is key, because if you're not visible, they won't convert. So I would say that getting back to the brand basics is really the most important thing right now that hotels can do.
Yeah, just the whole idea about being I guess, the authority over your own brand. As you said, there's been a big rise and comeback in terms of public relations, which both of us have a deep interest in,
Hmm.
and there's just so many other ways to make the brand for your hotel come alive for the consumer, which would help with visibility in terms of any of the AI search tools that are being used. So, Nicki, thank you so much for this overview, for sharing with us about Cendyn, and for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That was Nicki Graham from Cendyn. She was showing us how to collapse the vulnerabilities of AI and invisibility, how to break free from expensive third-party dependencies, and leverage integrated cloud architecture to secure hospitality margins in 2026. Thank you for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more resources. To learn more about how we are supporting the ecosystem, please visit the Canadian SME Small Business Foundation at smbfoundation.ca. A special thank you to our partners UPS and ADP, our HR partner, for their ongoing commitment to empowering small business across Canada. Join us next week as we explore the next critical business topic. I'm your host, Brent Edwards. Until next time, keep innovating and keep growing.